Who's with me here? Has anyone here ever felt so high from cannabis that you were unable to speak? Has anyone had such anxiety after consuming cannabis that you were positive that everyone who spoke to you was mocking you? Has anyone here taken cannabis for insomnia, but then found that it made you so wired that your insomnia took on a life of its own? And has anyone here used cannabis to manage pain, but instead you became more aware of your pain and you just couldn't even get away from it? My name is Caitlin Bernhard, and I'm a medical cannabis patient and a cannabis NP. And I've been working with cannabis medicine for the last 6 years. All of those questions are from my own experiences, and many people share those experiences with me. And those experiences were all signs that my dose was too high. When I was 18, I moved from Western Massachusetts to the West Coast, where I was introduced to high quality, high THC cannabis. I pushed my way through depersonalization, paranoia, anxiety, and depression, knowing that when those experiences were not in the driver's seat, cannabis was an amazing ally and a balancer for my mental and physical health. And today, I want to discuss the concept of microdosing as a tool for radical wellness. So, what is a microdose of cannabis? These are low doses, very low doses, that include delta 9 THC, often paired with CBD or other cannabinoids. And these are sub-threshold doses. The goal of microdosing is to get ahead of pain, nausea, lack of appetite, anxiety, etc. And if you feel noticeable effects of THC, the microdose is then becoming a low dose. What this looks like in real life is for inhalation, maybe 1 or 2 inhalations of flower with a concentrate or vape cartridge, maybe 1 inhalation because it's so potent. With tincture or edibles, you're going for doses that are under 5 milligrams generally. And it's different. Everybody's a little different in their sensitivity. Tinctures are great for microdosing because you can be so specific. You can start with 1 milligram and slowly move up. Edibles, you can take a 5 milligram edible, cut it into quarters. Each quarter is 1.25 milligrams. That's a great starting place for a microdose. And I have this side note, always read the labels. This is a 2-to-1 RSO tincture that I got, thinking it was 2-to-1 CBD to THC. Come to find out, it's THC to CBD. Always read the labels. I'm going to take a little microdose right now. And if you have any cannabis with you or near you, adjacent to you, I welcome you to join me. Just going to take 2 drops. This is the equivalent of 4 drops THC or 4 milligrams THC and 2 of CBD. So why do we want to microdose? As Lisa was just discussing, our current medical model is focused on symptom management over disease prevention. You wait until a symptom develops and then you manage it. Has anyone here ever been told, let's wait until the symptoms get worse and then we'll see about treating it? I was told that. And that was when I first started to move away from conventional medicine because that answer did not work for me. Now, please don't get me wrong. Cannabis and delta 9 THC especially can be great for managing symptoms. If you have insomnia, it can be sedating. If you have nausea, it can reduce that nausea. No appetite, it can stimulate your appetite. If you have anxiety, lower doses can help to calm and relax you. And with pain, it can allow pain to melt into the background. THC does come with some side effects or adverse effects. Short-term memory loss, dry and blurry eyes, racing heart, loss of mental focus, dizziness or weakness, especially in our elderly populations, increased anxiety. And these are side effects that come with symptom management doses, as well as, excessively high doses. What if we focused on prevention over symptom management with our dosing? Well, we would have fewer symptoms to treat because we'd be getting ahead of the symptoms. We would get more from lower doses. We would also avoid the negative effects of overconsumption. Like the questions that I asked in the beginning. It is horrible to feel like everyone's mocking you when they're talking to you. We would positively affect our endocannabinoid systems and our overall wellness, and we would reduce dependence on the broken medical system. And I'll come back to this later. And I was thinking that prevention over treatment, a good analogy for this is forest fires. We could keep it at a moderate to low risk, like Smokey the Bear is advocating here, or look below. That's the fire's already gotten started. It's time to bring in the fire hoses. It's trying to bring in the firefighters and the helicopters. And then it's going to, beyond that, it gets to the big guns. So, this is what we're looking at with medicine too. As a so this reminder, delta-9 THC does have these biphasic effects, and this is a great graph from the Healer site. This chart is really based about finding your optimal dose for symptom management. And you have the low dose with low benefit. I kind of think of that as no dose over there on the left. Over on the right, your high dose, also low benefit, because that's when THC can actually start causing all of the things that you're trying to treat. It can cause nausea and vomiting. It can cause insomnia. It can, cause paranoia and anxiety. And the optimal dose is the sweet spot. Everybody's sweet spot is a little different. But what I'm proposing is bringing that optimal dose back a little bit towards a low dose and not focusing so much on the symptom management, but on preventing the symptoms from even getting started. So what does the evidence have to say about microdosing? I found 3 studies that are relevant to this discussion, and I'll go over these 3 now. There are a few more out there, but I thought these ones really spoke to some of the beauty and the magic and the science, of course, of microdosing. So starting with our lowest dose that I found that was studied. This is from Ruver Martins et al., published in the Journal of Medical Case Reports in 2022. It's a case report of a 75-year-old white man with Alzheimer's dementia with memory loss, disorientation, and reduced activity levels and quality of life. He was given microdoses, and you can see on the slide here, the maximum dose that this man received was 500 micrograms, so half a milligram to 1 milligram of THC daily. And this continued over a 22-month period. During this period, when they had their check-ins and at the end, when they, did the review, there was an increase in mini mental state examination scores and reductions of his Alzheimer's disease assessment scale cognitive subscale score. Both the patient and his caregiver reported a noticeable improvement in his quality of life. And in fact, at the follow-up, he said, I used to forget things and have a hard time finding my way around. But today I navigated my own way here on the bus alone. There were no signs of toxicity or significant side effects that were reported. And again, that was a very low dose of THC. As a reference, nabiximols or Sativex, which is the oral spray that's approved in about 30 countries around the world, is normally administered in doses that are around 20 milligrams of THC and CBD per day. Moving up to a slightly higher dose, we have this randomized, double-blinded, placebo-controlled crossover trial. Pretty good, pretty robust trial here, published in 2020 in the European Journal of Pain, and this is by Almog et al. In this study, 27 patients used a metered-dose cannabis inhaler, and they had a single inhalation of delta-9 THC that was either half a milligram, 1 milligram, or a placebo. The goal of this trial was really to see, can a metered dose cannabis inhaler give precise doses? And but some of the things that they found were that following the inhalation of the half milligram or 1 milligram THC, both doses showed a quick and noticeable reduction in pain intensity that continued for 150 minutes. And compared to the placebo, the 1 milligram dose brought significant decreases in pain. And side effects and adverse effects were mild, it resolved quickly, and no cognitive impairments were noted. They concluded that yes, the cannabis inhaler does deliver significantly low and precise doses of THC, but they also concluded that these low doses of THC can produce safe and effective analgesia in patients with chronic pain. And then the highest of the low doses that I could find in the research was this study, a randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled graded dose study from 2012 by Portnoy et al., published in the Journal of Pain. This study included patients with advanced cancer and opioid refractory pain. They were receiving placebo or nabiximols or Sativex. And again, the reminder, nabiximols is 2.7 milligrams THC to 2.5 milligrams CBD in an oral spray. The doses that were given were either low, which was 1 to 4 sprays of Sativex over a course of a day. Medium dose was 6 to 10 sprays over the course of the day, and the high dose was 11 to 16. They were looking at average pain, worst pain, and sleep disruption. They measured this daily over 5 weeks, and they were also looking at quality of life and mood. And 263 patients completed this study. So this is a really nice big study, very robust. And overall, more patients reported analgesia with nabiximols versus the placebo, especially in the low dose and the medium dose groups. The side effects and adverse effects were dose related, and it was really the high dose group that compared unfavorably with placebo. And you can see in this figure here, figure 4, that as the improvement in pain, the arrow goes down, the most improvement in pain was at the lowest dose, 4 sprays over the course of the day. Medium dose, still some improvement in pain, and the high dose was right about just a little bit better than the placebo. So this figure here speaks 1,000 words. So, and the low dose of this, if you do the math, that it comes to about a maximum of 10.8 milligrams THC and 10.5 milligrams CBD over the course of a day. Still pretty low dose, but yeah, as I said, this is the highest of the low doses I looked at. So these 3 studies, we're looking at Alzheimer's, looking at sleep quality, we're looking at chronic pain, and we're getting some really good results. So why is microdosing a tool for radical wellness, and how can wellness be radical? Earlier I mentioned, and Lisa explained this beautifully, that our medical system is broken. The costs are through the roof, of course. People don't have access. Insurance, the pharmaceutical, and the medical industrial complexes are driving healthcare into the ground, and there is no care in healthcare. And this is a system that thrives on disease, and preventative medicine is dismissed and ignored. Microdosing is empowering. It teaches self-titration, checking in to see how much of a dose is needed and when it is needed. Just this week, I was at a party speaking with a man who started microdosing, and he said, I have never checked in with myself as much as I did that day that I microdosed. Every hour, I was just checking in, doing a body scan. How do I feel? Do I need more? I don't. I feel pretty good. Do I feel good because I took the microdose, or am I just having a good day? It doesn't matter because I'm checking in. So, it's teaching us how to be in tune with our inner wellness. And the goal, again, is to get ahead of symptoms and increase overall wellness. One of my patients, a patient with fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, chronic pain, for years, she would take her cannabis at night for insomnia. And she'd wait through the day and take it at night. And she said she never was sleeping very well. But she still kept, she'd been a patient for years, a cannabis patient for years. And then finally, it was like last year, she started microdosing small doses of 1-to-1 products with every meal. And she actually stopped taking it to sleep. She didn't need it anymore. She just slept because she got ahead of her pain and her fatigue and her dis-ease. So if we could flip this script and focus on wellness, on empowerment, and a preventative medicine individually, in our families, in our communities, in our states, our regions, our countries, our world, I get a little emotional about this every time. I think that we could break the system down because fewer people would buy into it, support it, and need it. I feel very strongly about this. The system has got to go. So to conclude, we just discussed the concept of microdosing and the facts about it. How do you find your microdose? With inhalation, with tincture, with edibles? Let's prevent symptoms instead of treating them, instead of waiting till they get worse. We looked at 3 research studies that show that micro and low dosing of cannabis with THC is effective for a variety of conditions. And we talked about preventative wellness as a radical act of protest. And I invite you to tune into your mind, body, spirit wisdom and empower yourself through microdosing. Here are my references.